Good evening, friends. On behalf of Banking Quest, I Tilagulati extend you warm welcome on this foreign exchange training programs. Friends, today we are going to start level 3 of this foreign exchange training program. I'm happy to announce that we have successfully completed level 1 and level 2. Today, from September 11, we are starting level 3 of this foreign exchange training program and it will continue up to 3rd of October 2021. Today is the first session of level 1. In this session, we shall be deliberating foreign direct investment by residents in joint ventures, wholly owned subsidiaries abroad, financing overseas acquisition, tapping FII's flows. And this will be deliberated by Mr. Hargovind Sachdev. Mr. Hargovind Sachdev is the former General Manager, State Bank of India. He has got more than 39 years of banking experience, having occupied senior positions in UCO Bank, United Bank of India, State Bank of Patiala, State Bank of Travancore, and State Bank of India, where he headed the Central European Credit Desk at Frankfurt, Germany, covering 15 countries of Central Europe. Mr. Sachdev has undergone international banking training from Asian Institute of Management, Manila, Philippines, and a multi-currency lending technique training at Euro Money Institute, London. Mr. Hargovind Sachdev has specialization in credit, foreign exchange, vigilance, monitoring, and appraisal of corporate loans, MSME credit, gold loan, agriculture loan, and NRI business management in assets and liabilities. Mr. Hargovind Sachdev is an independent director and consultant to various big entities in the corporate sector at present. So, without taking much of your time, I would request Mr. Hargovind Sachdev to kindly start his deliberations on today's session. Over to you, sir.
हौसला बना ही लिया है जब ऊंची उड़ान का हौसला बना ही लिया है जब ऊंची उड़ान का फिर फिजूल है पूछना कद आसमान का. Friends, the India's success story as far as FIIs and FDIs are concerned is, a history in making. We are progressing by leaps and bounds. Till 1991, you will not believe countries like Benin, Pakistan, Trinidad and Tobago, Costa Rica were getting more than us as FDIs. Till 91, we were getting hardly 50 crore rupees a month as foreign direct investment. That is about 600 crore rupees a year. But today, the latest figure is that last year, up to 31,321, our country has received 60,000 crores. So from 600 crore per year to 60,000 crore is a great success story that shows the world's confidence in the Indian capabilities, Indian acumen, Indian way of working, and Indian aspirations, and especially the Indian youth, and more so the Indian banking system, which has been facilitating this inward flow of funds, which has resulted in amelioration of masses, upgrading of our skills, upgrading of the products, the roads, the infrastructure, the medical setup, and ultimately the style of life each one of Indian is leading. So friends, FDIs are very important for the growth of a nation. The reason, before we really go to why this success happened, is that we were permitting only FDIs up to 40% of the total investment required in running a firm. As you know, if you invest up to 40%, you do not have any say in the management. So the foreign countries, their corporates, they were reticent. They were slightly hesitant to invest in India because by investing 40%, they did not have management control. And if you do not have management control, if you bring skill, you bring acumen, you bring expertise, you do not have any control on usage of that, and it can be misused. If you bring your brand and you do not have how to place it, how to popularize it, any such rights to propagate it, then the brand falls down. So as such, once the country opened to more than 40%, and in some sectors now we are permitting up to 100% of FDIs, the nation is on a great march. Friends, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे तेरी raza kya hai. You have to rise yourself so much, then ultimately, God will also ask, oh, I made this man, how he could grow so much. I never imagined that the creation of mine will grow so much. Friends, FDIs are creating a new India. They're very important part of our life. We do not realize how they have changed our life. As such, please listen to intently how we can encourage it further as a banker and as a student of foreign exchange. Friends, today I will be giving you a bird's eye view of foreign direct investment. And if you see item 4, tapping of foreign institutional investors. In fact, FIIs are the agencies which bring FDIs. But since FDI is the crux of the thing, I have put item 4 in the last. And I will also be, joining you in this small journey and taking you on financing overseas acquisitions and also direct investments by residents. That's the Indians, if they want to join in, joint ventures abroad or open wholly owned subsidiaries abroad. What are the formalities required? Friends, there is enough money to attract. If you see, back of the envelope calculation shows that the entire world has USD 37 trillion of physical money in cash and deposited in savings accounts. India's economy is only 3.01 trillion. Sometimes, it is touching 2.9, sometimes 3.01, but almost we have now touched the 3 trillion mark, and the aim is to take it to 5 trillion. And the value of 1 trillion is 75 lakh crore. Most of you are bankers, and 75 lakh crore is much more than the total amount with all the banks in India, including State Bank. So you can imagine what exactly is 1 trillion and how much will be the 5 trillion value once we really go into the numbers. And as I reiterate, from a base of only $97 million of FDIs per year in 1991, we have reached 82 billion USD in 2021. Now, let us see how the reforms in 1991 have made India a great destination of FDIs. What is FDI? FDI is when a company takes controlling ownership in a business entity in another country. Like you want to go to Dubai, open a shop or a factory or an enterprise and invest your money there. It is called as foreign direct investment in Dubai, and vice versa. These are the investments made by one company into another company in a foreign country. With FDI, foreign companies are directly involved with day-to-day operations in another country. As submitted, earlier we were permitting only 40% stake. But then management was not in the hands of the foreigners. Now we have yielded that ground and the dividends are visible. FDIs are different from investment portfolio where overseas people invest in equities, bonds issued by Indian companies. A lot of Indian companies are opening their public issues worldwide, opening in New York Exchange or in London Exchange. There, people will buy share FCCBs, ADR, GDRs and things like that. But that is not FDI. FDI is bringing a foreigner with his skill, machinery, manpower, equipments, and then converting an entity, industrial entity into a world scale entity and giving Indians the products or even exporting those products worldwide from India. FDI's investors not only bring money with them, but they also bring knowledge, skills and technology. And the best part of FDIs, is high quality employment. You have seen most of these companies, even Bank of America, if he opens branch, our children will get salaries of 50 lakh a year. Similarly, Amazon has come. See the quality of, employment which it has generated. Small, poor girls or boys, they're working there are getting 30, 40,000, whereas the average Indian salary today is 10,000 rupees for the beginners. So the difference it brings into the lives of Indians is remarkable. FDIs in India, uh, let me just reiterate again what I just submitted to you. Economic liberalization started in India in the wake of 1991 crisis, and since then FDIs have steadily increased in the country. Of every $100 FDI worldwide, $20 comes to India. That's a great salute to you bankers. It's all because of the sturdiness of the effort of Indians, that today if $100 is invested worldwide in FDI, India gets $20. It's a big money. In last 21 years, that is from April 2000 to 21 March, we have received 763.5 billion FDI funds. Imagine the churning around this money has done in our social setup, industrial setup, and the entire societal benefits which it has accrued to every Indian. India today is a part of top 100 club on ease of doing business, and India globally ranks number 1 in the Greenfield FDI ranking. Now, what is a Greenfield FDI ranking? Suppose new projects, suppose Apple wants to start a new project. Apple has started working on scooters. A lot of companies are making electrical cars, scooters. Now, such Greenfield projects, India is the top Greenfield FDI ranking destination. Now, what are the benefits? As I submitted, FDI inflows play a significant role in contributing towards the development of Indian economy. They are directly correlated with higher employment, and FDIs improve productivity, including the quality of processes and supply chains towards achieving global quality standards. Today, after 1991, you see on a road when you're traveling, no one car is similar. But before 91, it used to be either Ambassador or Fiat or a standard car. But today, wherever you go, you get so much variety. You go to a mobile shop, you'll get Korean, Chinese, American, European mobiles. The quality. You go to a shoe shop, you'll get all the varieties of the world. All this was not possible in our young age. We were used to getting all very worn out type of stuff like Batas. Today you go to a shoe shop, you'll get a shoe of 25,000 rupees also. All those things were not available. The qualities were not visible before FDIs attacked India and made it a paradise of consumerism. Friends, the routes from where India gets FDIs is very well specified by the government. Now, they have made 2 routes. Number 1 is the automatic route, where they have made certain benchmarks. The benchmarks are so well defined that if you observe them, you will get an instant permission. But then there is a government route where, if you want to invest in a strategic sector like education, which molds the opinion of the students, or defense, or broadcasting, such things, which can really change the thinking process, there the investments have to come necessarily through government route. Or if you want to invest more than 5,000 crores, like 750 million euros and beyond, that much of money, government wants to know where it is going. So all such sanctions will come in government route. Otherwise, most of the permissions are permitted through automatic route. The application is processed in consultation with the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce. And as I submitted, proposals involving FDIs beyond 770 million, that is 5,000 crores, shall be placed before the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs. The government should know where this money is going. And, if the proposal is complete in all respects, the government is giving permission within 8 to 10 weeks. Now, sectors where you can, as a foreigner, invest automatically into India is infrastructure company. India needs infrastructure, roads very badly. So we have been very liberal here, up to 49% you can invest. Insurance also, the insurance penetration is hardly 6%. Only 6 or 7 crore people, maybe 10 crore maximum people are insured in India. Everybody else is uninsured. So we want to bring money into India to create insurance companies, give claims, make insurance popular through education. So we have permitted 49%. Medical devices, India needs very improved health infrastructure. So 100% of money we can bring from abroad and create institutions for making beds, for making thermometers, for making stethoscope, whatever equipment you can come and manufacture in India, we welcome through 100%. Now, pension funds, and pension funds are funds which invest in various sort of NPAs or such high yielding things where the person who is investing can take back money and then disburse high quality pensions abroad. So such pension funds are also very active in India, where you can invest 49%. Of course, petroleum is the weakest spot in Indian economy. We are net importers. Most of our import bills are going towards payment of petroleum. So we are permitting 49% of equity participation to foreigners in petroleum, and similarly power exchanges. A lot of exchanges are there where they purchase power from various hydro plants, coal plants, thermal plants, and then resell it. We are encouraging such things because power is also not reaching the large corners of India. Lots of villages are still not electrified. So we have permitted 49% investment through FDIs in power exchanges as well. Now, what are the permissions required if you want to opt through government route? Number one is in banking, no foreigner can simply invest. Banking is a cash generating thing. I opened a lot of branches. There I used to just invest into woodwork, put a board of State Bank of India outside, and on the first day itself, 50 lakh to 1 crore cash will be deposited just in the name of bank. And then branches within 1 year will become 200 crore, within 1,000 crore and all that. That is the trust Indians have in banking industry. So we do not want to belittle that trust by bringing in foreign money like hot money and then people cheating Indians and running away. So it is restricted up to only 20%. Similarly, broadcasting, as I submitted, creates opinion of public. We do not want anybody broadcasting anti-Indian sentiments in India. So we have permitted to only 49. Core investment companies, 100%. Food products, India is very deficit in quality food, so 100%. Similarly, mining, lot of jewels, natural jewels are lying below. Coal, diamond, gold, everything is lying below, even oil. But we are not able to explorate that. So we thought we'll bring 100% of equity here also. Similarly, multi-brand retail. We don't want that one big company should come here and sell its product. We want that a lot of products it should bring together so that most of the people are benefited and there is no monopoly created. Similarly, print media. There are two guidelines. One is publication of scientific and technical magazines. We permit that 100% because that will encourage knowledge of our Indian students and Indian knowledge seekers. But there is another type of print media where you publish newspaper, periodicals, or Indian editions of foreign magazines with news and current affairs. There we are permitting only 26% because Indians, especially the rural people, are trusting the media beyond any doubt. So we do not want them to be influenced by false news or fake news. Similarly, if you want to establish satellites, then you can bring in 100% equity and start your shop in India. Now, what are the prohibitions? See, there are a lot of prohibitions also because we have to save the Indian industry. We have to save the Indian, secrecy. We know the past history of, certain foreign companies who misuse this, especially East India Company, which made us gulam and made us lose our freedom. So we are not permitting FDIs in certain segments like atomic energy generation, which is a secret. We do not let them invest in gambling. Otherwise, if you go to European streets, you'll find a lot of gambling. Then people, wasting their hard-earned money and then lying on the road, drunk and misbehaving. All sorts of those things we do not want in India. We also don't want the, rich by night lotteries to come to India. And we also do not want the chit funds because chit funds are really cheat funds. Once the corpus is big, people run away. Similarly, Nidhi companies are also chit fund companies. Then to protect the farmers, we do not permit, acquisition of agricultural land. We also do not permit plantation activities through FDIs because our farmer is already struggling with 72,000 rupees income in a year. That is hardly 6,000. So we do not want the foreigners to attack him and take away his, land or his cultivation and then, cheaply because he needs money. He will sell it cheap. So there are restrictions there. But some segments we are opening like horticulture, export of flowers from Pune to Netherlands, the rose flower, it's beautifully sold abroad, that we are permitting. Similarly, fisheries and pisciculture, because a lot of people in East India eat a lot of fish curry. So to give them quality fish, we are permitting investment FDIs there also. Similarly, tea, Darjeeling tea is worldwide famous. We want that to go further. And of course, we want high quality cows and buffaloes to give good quality milk. So we are permitting FDIs in animal husbandry. We are also, we are not, we are, I've slightly gone on the wrong track. There are exceptions where, we are permitting like an animal husbandry, horticulture, fishery, tea plantation we permit, but we do not permit in agriculture and plantation. Similarly, we do not permitting in housing and real estate. What is happening is, big housing colony, if suppose a foreigner makes, and then the people default, then he will acquire that and he will enter the heart of the city, and then he may sell it to people who may not be of desirable, may not be of that religion. It might create so many things which we cannot think. So we are not permitting in housing. We can permit townships and commercial projects. Similarly, trading in cigars, cigarette, tobacco, which are very helpful and create cancer, we do not permit any FDIs. Now, there are three types of FDI, investments in India. Number one is horizontal FDIs. Horizontal FDIs is, suppose Nokia is manufacturing mobile phones in Finland, Helsinki, and wants to start a unit at Chennai. They started a few years ago. Now, if they again start manufacturing mobiles in India, then that sort of investment will be called as horizontal investment. Similar product. You produce there, bring your quality, you bring your people, bring your knowledge, your skills, and produce. That is called as horizontal FDI investment. Then there are vertical FDI investments. Now, Nokia wants to produce mobile in Finland only, but some of these spare parts, which are cheap in India because of cheap labor or cheap raw material, they start investing in a company who manufactures those spare parts. Now, they do not manufacture mobile here. So such things, such investments in sourcing a particular raw material or a component for their final product, if they manufacture here in collaboration with someone, with a joint venture or their own subsidiary or associate, then such investment is called as vertical FDI. And of course, the last one is conglomerate, where you are doing some business in Europe and have surplus money, you come and buy Atlas cycle industry. You are not at all in cycle industry in Europe. You are into manufacturing of drugs or chemicals, but you have surplus. You create a conglomerate, so that becomes a part of your overall world empire. So that sort of investment is also permitted into India to create conglomerates. Now, how these happen, there are four ways of doing FDI investments. You can either open a subsidiary or an associate. What is the difference between subsidiary and associate? Subsidiary is majority owned by you. Associate is you own the minority share. Your name is there, but it is owned by others, but you still have some investment. So you can do both of these routes. You can also acquire controlling interest in existing foreign country in a company. Suppose a company from Netherlands is there and you are based in US. You find that some synergy is there. You can come and buy their share, and both of you can have a joint venture in India. It can be American, Canadian joint venture or American, European. So that sort of thing also we are permitting. We have no hesitation. And then you can also merge your company into another foreign company as I submitted, and then you can do a joint venture. Joint venture is what? Joint venture is also a creation of a third party. You are an expert in a particular portion of development of business. The other company is expert in the other portion of the business. They make very good packing material. You make very good product. Both of you open a joint venture and both of you supplement each other. So that sort of company is called a joint venture, but it is independent of both of you. So that there also we permit FDIs. Now let's have a very surprising revelation that how the money is coming to India is small country of Singapore with such a small size is the largest FDI inflower to India. They in 21 up to these figures are vetted up to March 21. 17.42 billion it brought last year. US was second with 13.82, Mauritius with 5.64, UAE 4.2, Cayman Islands 2.8, Netherlands 2.79, UK 2.04, Japan 1.95, Germany 0.67, and of course Cyprus. Now, friends, if you see some of these countries like Singapore, number 3, Mauritius, number 5, Cayman, number 10, Cyprus. Now, these countries create the doubts which I will be dealing. Whether this is round tripping of Indian money, corrupt money, or whether it's real investment. So one of the policies or weakness of FDI is sometimes you get round trip money, because these countries do not have so much of worth, like Cayman Island, Cyprus. They are all struggling economies, very, very small, but they are investment centers where people park their money. There are a lot of tax concessions and there are a lot of secrecies maintained, and then from there the money flows into India. But then a lot of checks are placed by Government of India in cross-verifying the source of these funds. But still, this is taken with pinch of salt. But the best thing is that out of 859 billion FDIs worldwide in 2021, China received 161 billion. That is exactly double of what India got, was 81 billion. And USA got 134 billion, friends. Now, there are very, very specific sectors which are very, very attractive to foreign investors. You will not believe we are far behind in manufacturing sector from China and various other European countries. But we are far ahead in service sector. So the maximum FDIs which are coming, thanks to youngsters who have revolutionized IT segment world over from India, the service sector is getting as high as 17% of all the FDIs which flow into India. You've seen, there are competitions to a lot of top countries, IT companies like SAP, and Microsoft. They are all pouring into service segment. Similarly, then there is a huge investment of 13% on computer software, hardware. We need quality hardware. All of you use Apple, computers, good quality mobile phones. That is the second highest recipient of FDIs. Then, of course, telecommunication is spreading fast all over. We want our mobile connectivity to reach nook and corner. So we are importing a lot of FDI money and investing in telecommunication with their skill, their knowledge, their equipment. We are enriching India, every corner of it, with this technology. And of course, trading is always there. A lot of food articles, a lot of foreigners live in India. So a lot of food articles like Japanese food, Korean food, Chinese food, and various pulses, they all come to India through trading route where 3% is invested. Now, major overseas investments. Now, till now, we were telling that how people are coming from abroad and investing. But vice versa, things are also happening, which are equally important. Now, I have made a small list where, Indian companies are also investing abroad for the benefit of technology. Like till June 21, Indian companies made an investment of almost 2 billion in overseas projects. It's a very small amount as compared to what we get, but still, there is an initiative now started by Indians. They are also going out and acquiring companies. Tata Steel invested 1 billion and Interglobe invested 145.61 million in UK. Reliance, of course, has been investing in UK. Reliance is also invested in Singapore and US. Varroc Engineering has invested 66 million in Netherlands. Motherson Sumi, the fast upcoming auto company, has invested 41.70 million in a wholly owned subsidiary in UAE. Serum Institute, all of us, very fortunate that we have got vaccine, and some of them will be getting vaccine shortly and fighting this corona. Serum Institute of India announced a plan of investing, 240 million pound sterlings in UK to expand its vaccine business and open new sales office. Similarly, Reliance Geo, they are also, part of the, Reliance Group. They are also investing worldwide. So things are opening both ways now. This investment gives us a lot of dollar inflows again in terms of dividend, and also our Indians who work there, they get, domain knowledge of the products, the working styles, the ethics, the etiquettes, how they work, how the labor should behave, or labor should be given care. All that they import into India and then practice in Indian factories and make India a great destination. Friends, there are a lot of disadvantages. You saw my list, how this foreign money is coming. There is a risk to patents, copyrights, and know-how. If foreigner brings some patent, copyright, some of the employees, greedy employees, will leave it and run away with that knowledge, and then try to implement it, duplicate those products. That sort of risk is there. Then what happens is this segment is very heavily regulated. If you want to invest in India from Australia, you'll have to take permission from the Reserve Bank of Australia. Then you come to India, you'll have to take permission from Reserve Bank of India. You'll have to report to both the authorities. If you declare dividend, you'll have to tell. If you make losses, you have to tell the reasons. So this is a very heavily regulated segment. But those who have nothing to hide, they are flourishing. So it carries a lot of political risk. Import of pulses. Government, wants to protect Indian farmer, but still want, because every Indian eats dal, right from Himalaya to, Tuticorin. Everybody wants pulses. So it's very crucial for the dining table of every Indian. So government will sometime increase duty on this, sometime reduce duty on this. Sometime will permit import, sometime will not permit import. So there is a lot of political risk involved. If a foreigner opens a trading organization dealing with supply of dal or pulses to India, he'll have to go through various regulations. So that sort of political risk is there with FDI. And as I was telling you, Mauritius, Cyprus, and Cayman Islands are known to be recycling ill-gotten wealth, or maybe some corrupt Indians would have parked money there. They bring it, they say it has come from abroad. They put it into their own companies, show it as a foreign direct investment. So that sort of things are also happening, which we have to be, as a banker, be careful. Go for the KYC, ultimate beneficiary of the person who is investing, the firm or the company. You must see. If an application comes, I want to bring FDI from Mauritius, you must go into the ultimate beneficiary like you go when you open a current account. And then, of course, there is a reputation risk. Here Union Carbide had an accident in Bhopal, you remember, and then entire Union Carbide world over got a bad reputation. A lot of places it had to close down operations. So that sort of risk also we are running if we are doing investment in India. If our company in another country fails, then it will have wrong repercussions on Indian associate also. And we already know how East India Company, made us lose our independence for almost 200 years. So we have to be very careful who we are permitting to enter India. Now, friends, here is a small conceptual display of if the world had only 100 people. Then what sort of distribution of those 100 people, skill wise, number wise, sex wise would be there. Out of the 100 people, 60 will live in India, 15 in Africa, 11 in Europe, 9 in South America, 5 in North America. And we know out of every 100 there are 50 females in world and 50 males. The best is the age. 66% people are between 15 to 64. That is the class which can work. 26% are below 14 and 8 are above 65. And the best is that 83% people can read and write and 17 cannot. They're illiterates. And only 7 have college degree in world. 93 do not have. We are all very fortunate as bankers that most of us have college degrees. As far as internet is concerned, it has made great progress. And 30 have got access to internet already, and 70 do not have. But this number, because India and China, the biggest countries now, are increasing the access of internet, this number is changing very fast. And the best is the mobile phones. 75 out of every 100 worldwide has got mobile phone, and 25 do not have. Why I put this is, now I come to nutrition. Out of every 100 person is sleeping without food every day. 15 do not get proper food, 63 are getting good food, and 21 are overweight because they eat too much, they have enough of food. So why I put this is because FDIs, when they strategize to invest in particular country or a particular continent or a particular industry or a particular segment, then they classify this. Where is the scope? And since it is a business and commercial decision to make money and take back good dividend, so these analytics are very important as far as FDI's decision making is concerned. Our aim to see this table is that we should go on improving on all this. As a banker, we should help improvement of all this, give good education loans for students to go abroad, finance hospitals to improve medical facilities, give loans to colleges to give good education, finance women entrepreneurs. So as a banker, if you increase this ratio in your country, then more FDIs will come and India will flourish further. Now, friends, I'm now coming to next topic, that is direct investment by residents in JV and wholly owned subsidiaries abroad. Now, India is encouraging that you have come of certain age, Indians, you have arrived, now you go abroad and show your skills. Indian may be behaving very awkwardly within India because of its motherland. But I have worked abroad for 6 years, 4.5 years in Germany, traveling across Europe, 1.5 years in Gulf, traveling all. I've seen Indians working so hard. They have become, the key persons in most of industry. Most of the vice president posts in US, in Germany, they are all occupied by Indians. And you have seen Indra Nooyi type people now becoming CEOs of world level companies. So many IT companies are headed by Indians. So we want the Indian to go abroad and create a further goodwill so that people bring in their money, they create a trust for India, and then India flourishes. So direct investment by one of the participants were telling us what are the various guidelines of government for this. So for her benefit, I think Shivani was telling me. So I have quoted here: direct investment by residents in joint ventures and wholly owned subsidiaries are allowed in terms of clause A of subsection 3 of section 6 of FEMA, dated 7 July 2004. Avenues are created for promoting global business by entrepreneurs through joint ventures. And then we can also transfer technology of India to those places. Our R&D techniques are pretty good. We can transfer those. And by exporting those things, we can learn a lot and then import back and make a wider global market, and then, reap the dividends by exporting the products which will be of good quality from India to abroad. It will also promote the brand image and generate a lot of employment abroad. You see, now SBI has got 194 outfits abroad and 2,000 Indians are working abroad. They are learning international banking. Similarly, lots of IT companies have students all over. Now almost 2 crore 65 lakh Indians are working abroad. Now, when they come back, they not only bring money, they bring knowledge, etiquettes, ethics, culture, forward-looking thought processes, and make India a further richer country. So we are encouraging them to open subsidiaries abroad, and a lot of trade they generate. And of course, if you invest abroad, you will get a lot of money in forex. You will get through dividend, royalty, and technical know-how fees. Now, where all you can, invest worldwide, this is also enumerated in section 6 of FEMA. And there is a general permission to persons resident in India to purchase, acquire securities out of funds held in RFC accounts, that is resident foreign currency accounts, and as bonus shares. Suppose some foreign company issues a bonus share, you can subscribe to that also. And general permission is also available to sell those shares which you acquire. This is as far as investment in equities is concerned. Now, resident Indians can invest 100% of amount of equity shares. Suppose some foreign company is floating, you can invest 100% of amount of compulsory and mandatory convertible preference shares. Also, CCPs you can invest in, 100% of preference shares also you can buy. You can also avail, 100% amount of loan, 100% amount of guarantee, 100% amount of bank guarantee issues. These are the facilities available if you open a company abroad, and that needs funding. Now, RBI has permitted Indian banks to finance those from India. I further deliberate on this, how you create securities, you create charges on these assets in favor of Indian lenders. Now, eligibility foremost is very, very important, like what we do before lending. Foremost is that the company should not be in RBI's export precaution list, defaulters list, or should not carry a negative CIBIL stricture, or should not be under investigation by, FERA, FEMA, various legal agencies, CBI and, DRI, etc. within India. And, all the transactions should be essentially routed through a bank. You cannot directly start dealing in cash with foreign company. And if you want to acquire a foreign company where the investment is more than USD 5 million, then there is a valuation matrix where valuation of shares of the company has to be done by a reputed merchant banker as stated by SEBI. Similarly, instead of giving money, you will say, okay, we'll swap shares. We have permitted foreign companies to acquire Indian companies, Indian companies to acquire foreign. So sometimes people are not exchanging cash, not remitting funds. They say, okay, you take my shares and invest in my company, I will take your shares. So there is a share swap happening. Now, RBI says, if such a swap is happening, then I do not want Indian fellow to lose or somehow send money in disproportion of the value of the share. So they put valuation norms. And approval of Foreign Investment Promotion Board is also a prerequisite for investing by swap of shares. If you do this swap of shares, then you need permission. And in case of investment in overseas JVs, WS abroad by registered partnership firm, sometimes you may be only a partnership firm, so you do not have the limited company, credentials. So if you are a partnership firm, you are still permitted to invest abroad or start your own joint venture, and then each partner can have shares of that joint venture in his name. What are ADR, GDR? Everybody hears it, Now there is a very fine rule made for investment abroad through ADR, GDR routes. An Indian party may acquire shares of foreign company in exchange of ADRs, GDRs issued to the later in accordance with the scheme of issue of foreign currency convertible bonds and ordinary shares through depository receipt mechanism. ADR, GDRs are listed in any exchange outside. ADR and GDR issued for the purpose of acquisition is backed by underlying fresh equity. Total holding in the Indian entity by persons resident outside India in the expanded capital base after the new ADR or GDR issue does not exceed the sectoral cap prescribed under the relevant regulations for such investments. I had told you there is a sectoral cap like up to 49%, or you can permit in particular 26% in a particular industry. So those benchmarks have to be essentially observed of that particular country where you're investing. You cannot exceed those marks on a reciprocal basis. Now, briefly, before we turn, I'll tell you what is an ADR. ADR and GDR, they are very popular in US market. ADR is American Depository Receipt. What happens is there are two ways of entering US market for an Indian market to raise equity. Suppose you want to bring foreign funds, you have to go to the SEBI equivalent exchange in US and file various documents, various things, The other route which the American government has permitted is that you sell your shares to local banks, do market making, and you denominate your foreign company's equity into dollar shares. Sell it to banks. Now, the banks, on behalf of their customers, will purchase those shares, sell to their customers, but they don't sell shares. What they do is they issue receipts, which are called as American Depository Receipts. A receipt may have 1 share, 2 share. In GDR, sometimes there are 10 shares. So those depository receipts are tradable in their stock exchanges. They are negotiable instruments, and they can be pledged as security. So American style of investment is different. It is through ADRs, GDRs, like we have through shares. They also have share, but ADR, GDR, they protect the American investor in investing dollar currency only. They don't have to convert rupee and send draft to Bombay in Citibank and then invest in Tata shares through rupee, because then they'll have bear the currency risk. The dividend may go in rupee, then they will get some exchange of that in dollars. Through ADR GDR route, the American investor is confident that he will get dividend in dollars. He can exit in dollars, he can enter in dollars. So these are very popular instruments. So now government says, if a company has floated ADR GDR issue, then out of that issue also you can sell those shares to individuals, or you can sell those shares and become participant in a foreign company as equity owner. If they permit, say, 49% in a particular company, those ADR GDRs through that bank through whom you have floated this issue, you can invest in that company and be part owner of that. Now, I was telling you how you can raise fund if you are floating a company, or client is floating a company abroad. There is a facility given by government. The government says that Indian parties are permitted to issue corporate guarantee on behalf of their first level stepped down operating JV. Now, this is very important to understand. What is a first level step down operating joint venture? See, now I came in contact with, say, a glass sheet manufacturer in Germany. He's doing very well. There is a company called Schultz, SCHULTZH. Now, they are the world leader in glass. The glass which is in Gurgaon, you would have seen buildings, or most of the buildings now have glass facade. So they make. I join him, and then we create a subsidiary. Now what happens is, he'll say, sir, let this subsidiary will have another subsidiary which will source the basic raw material for this glass making. Now government says that you can give corporate guarantee to the subsidiary floated with Schultz, but a further subsidiary if you have floated then there are restrictions in giving corporate guarantee. There you should see that the step down subsidiary should have your 51% ownership. If you have, then you can give further corporate guarantee, otherwise not. Now, Indian promoter entity may extend corporate guarantee on behalf of first generation step down, already clarified to you. And this is under operating route. But if you want to give guarantee to second generation further subsidiaries, then there is a Reserve Bank of India permission required. And investment through, there's another angle to this, that investment through special purpose vehicles under automatic route. Now, government is permitting investment in JVs and wholly owned subsidiaries abroad by Indian parties through the medium of special purpose vehicle. Now, suppose you do not want to expose your balance sheet. What happens is, suppose you expose your balance sheet abroad and that balance sheet borrows, then Indian bankers will say your MPBF is not coming. You have a European liability. So what you do is, instead of exposing your company abroad, you float a special purpose vehicle, which will be an associate or a subsidiary of yours, whose balance sheet will be away. Their loans, their liabilities will not be direct liability of you. Of course, once you consolidate the group balance sheet, there you'll have to disclose. But otherwise, in normal banking, when we do assessment in India, those liabilities will not be part of your liability. If you have given a corporate guarantee, then banker will say, ki this company is having so much of risk because this has given a 15 million euro corporate guarantee to its subsidiary in Germany. That liability, of course, banker will view while giving you a loan as part of the overall risk. But otherwise, any loan given to your special purpose vehicle abroad by the lender in Germany or in US or in Europe will not be your liability, direct liability. So we are permitting, the government is permitting investment in JVs abroad by Indian parties through medium of SPVs. They are encouraging that way so that their lending within India, their borrowing within India is not impacted. Setting up an SPV under automatic route is permitted for the purpose of making investment or financial commitment also. So this is another thing where you can even do investment business abroad, where government has permitted to float SPVs. Now, how to fund? Now, once you have opened a subsidiary, now you do not know any banker abroad, and the government, you do not have so much of funds. So how do you finance that? And so government says key investment or financial commitment in an overseas JV may be funded out of the following resources. Suppose you were an NRI and you had foreign exchange, a lot of money in your NRE account or EEFC account with the authorized dealer in India. You can draw from there. The second thing is very important to understand, friends. That is the capitalization of exports. Now, what happens is a lot of Indians, garment manufacturers are exporting cloth day in, day out to US market, European market. Now, you don't have foreign exchange, but you have goods and you're exporting. You have to get the money there back to India. So, government says if you can take my prior permission, prove your invoices through custom department, get a certification that these are genuine exports, then the money which should come to India as export proceeds, you can capitalize there itself and you can join hands with the buyer. And that equivalent of money which you should have got in India, you can invest as a capital. So that sort of capitalization of export is also permitted for you to get access to a better technology, better market, bigger market, a sophisticated market of Europe or US. So friends, swap of shares is also permitted. I have already deliberated. And then you can also utilize proceeds of ECBs, that is external commercial borrowings. What are external commercial borrowing? Our friend Nagaraj has already detailed deliberations on this. ECBs, there are suppliers credit, buyer credit, and credit for more than 3 years. So those monies also, you can use there. You can also float FCCBs. What is a foreign currency convertible bond? These are bonds. These are debt instruments which an Indian company floats abroad, but they are dual type. The part of the bonds, they can be converted into shares. So that option is available, and the call and put option is invested with the person who is buying your bonds, FCC bonds. He on a given time can opt for a conversion of this into equity shares also. And then he will not get, the markup which is reserved for FCCB, the interest, but he will get the dividend out of shares. So that sort of investment also, if you have, you can convert into an equity for a joint venture abroad. Then balances held in EEFC, exchange earners, foreign currency account. They are also, if you have money, you can invest. And proceeds of foreign currency funds raised through ADR, GDR, as I have already submitted, can also be converted as your part of equity in opening a joint venture abroad. Now, coming very fast to how you seat a charge. Most of the bankers know how to seat a charge, but the RBI now permits that suppose you borrow abroad for your subsidiary there or joint venture there, then you can create charge on the Indian assets. Like you have a house, you have a factory, and still there is a FACR available. Suppose you have a 100 crore asset, you already borrowed 20 crore from Indian banks, 80 crore is still available. Remove the margin from there. Part of that available security you can mortgage to foreign lenders for their loans to your subsidiaries abroad. So that has also facilitated Indian ventures getting financed by foreign lenders in a big way. Now, how do you raise this finance? Now, there is a growing tendency, as I said, for Indians. I was in Germany every week. One or two Indian big corporate MD or chairman of a company will visit us in SBI Frankfurt, and he will say he's acquiring a railway coach making factory, or he's acquiring a IT company. There, these companies are going very cheap. Like, we'll find a company being sold for even 2 million euros. But point is that there are a lot of underlying, problems. For 2 million, you will acquire. But then you'll have to see whether he has cleared all the taxes, whether he has paid all the dues of the banks, whether his contract with labor is okay, because their labor is very supreme. And if you have not reviewed their salary within time and it becomes overdue, and then you enter there as a owner, then you have to honor those commitments, and you may go bankrupt by even honoring the old outstanding arrears of the labor there. So Indian companies are permitted, but they have to do a lot of due diligence. And Indian companies abroad, for setting up manufacturing units to get access to foreign markets, the idea is to give them access to foreign markets, technology, raw material, brand, and various other rights. Then for financing such overseas investment by Indian banks, Indian companies, banks provide term loans. You can, if you're sitting in India, you can provide term loan, working capital loan, and you can also permit them cost of acquiring brands, patents, rights, and various other rights. And of course, the guarantee facility to overseas JV for raising term loans and working capital in their local country is also permitted through Indian banks now. Now, the size, I was just going through Grant Thornton site, which is the fifth largest chartered accountant firm in the world. I found out that the average deal size in 2005 of Indian investment abroad was hardly $32 million. But in 2006, India did its first big deal of 47 million. In some cases, deal size were more bigger than the acquiring company in India. You know, Tata's, when they acquired Chorus, which was the largest steel maker in the world, then Tata's balance sheet size was 50,000 crore. The company they acquired had a balance sheet size of 75,000 crores. So sometimes Indians are so aspirational that they're, acquiring bigger companies bigger than themselves. The 41 million Bangalore-based telecommunication company Subex has also, bought Azure Solutions for 140 million in 2006, which was again a watchmaking acquisition of a very big size. Then Chennai-based Abana for sure also invested a big way to the extent of 113 million. Now, overall, during pre-COVID 2019, the numbers is really very, very satisfying, because Indians acquired almost 145 deals worth 7.8 billion, according to Grant Thornton, in worldwide market, showing the Indian acumen of running industries through cordial labor relations and imaginative ideas to the world. Now, as I was telling, when you acquire a company, you have to see the underlying problems. I know this work from home thing has started in India only now after this corona. In in Germany, when you appoint an officer, there is an option. You will work from home or you will work from office. Now, if somebody goes for work from home option, you cannot ask him to come, otherwise your salary will have to be enhanced. Now, CEOs of the company, who are advisors to various other boards of various companies, they operate from homes. Now, if you acquire a company and you go there, you don't find CEO in the office. You tell him, "Aap to aate nahi office, kis baat ki salary dein." You have to first see your labor contract with him. If he comes to the office, he'll give you a 14,000 euro bill per month, and you will be surprised. He's already getting 6,000 and 14,000 more. So, these types of due diligence has to be done. I know of a company which was acquired by an Indian, a Bombay gentleman, and he was that was making children garment. Now, this fellow, that company had contract with 3 suppliers in Germany for various fabric, thread, machinery, and various other stuff. This fellow immediately after taking over started bringing raw material from Hong Kong, and did not honor his contracts with 3 German firms. They took him to court, and court, declared him as a defaulter, because he had disrupted the 3 companies which were supplying. Their labor was not getting salary because he stopped buying from them and started buying from Hong Kong. So all these things one must understand within the legal framework of that particular country where you're going to acquire a company. Otherwise, you lose your shirt. Big companies who are Maruti suppliers, they went and started supplying to Mercedes-Benz on their terms, using labor which was not properly fed or given money in India. All those were challenged in courts of law, and all of them have lost their money, and a huge bank debt is of ICICI Bank is pending with some of these people who went to various countries in Europe and did not honor the local contracts and local way of doing business. So we have to be very cautious. For the purpose of what you can be permitted is that there is no prior approval required for RBI to open offices abroad. For initial expenses, authorized dealers can permit 15% of the average annual sales value for setting up a shop abroad. And then for recurring expenses of, because you will post some people there, remittances up to 10% of average annual sale can also be permitted to be remitted abroad to run a foreign subsidiary or an associate. Within these limits, ADs can allow remittance by a company even to acquire immovable property. Suppose you want to buy a property there outside India for business development or for the residential purpose of the staff. Now, friends, we have completed various topics. I will come to the broader issue of what is FII. FFI are institutions which facilitate FDIs and which also facilitate setting up joint ventures abroad. They are, banks, they are investment banks, they are financial companies, NBFCs, who actually facilitate all this. You cannot just go to a hotel in Europe and hold a seminar and say, I want FDI in India, You have to involve these FFIs who have data bank on India, which industry will do well. They will, enter in collaboration with you in foreign centers. They will make road shows all over and they will charge money, but that will be worth its value in gold, because they will make Americans or foreigners think of investing in India. So FIIs are very important role players if you want to raise FDIs. So FIIs are investor institutions established or incorporated outside India, which propose with the purpose of making investment. Now, those FIIs can be asset management companies, pension funds, mutual funds, investment trusts as nominee companies, incorporated institutional portfolio managers, they power of attorneys, university funds. Various such organizations or FIIs, and they work in tandem with local banks and in taking a decision in investing in a country outside their native country. Now, if they want to invest, they have to take, if they want to be regular advisors to, say, State Bank of India want to have equity. Recently, Canara Bank has resolved to raise foreign equity. Now, they will, go to SEBI and take the list of such FIIs who are listed with them, who have a track record of arranging what they commit, and through them, they will do road shows across the world and raise the fund into India. Now, their further role is that the major constituents of foreign capital flows to India. They comprise of FDIs and portfolio. As I said, the FDIs and portfolio investment are two different things. By now, FDIs means bringing money, bringing machinery, skill. And portfolio investment is only investing in the shares of Indian companies. So these FIIs help us raise both this. And enhanced FII flow reflect the sustained pace of domestic economic activity, better corporate performance, benign investment atmosphere, positive view of India as an investment destination, and advantageous liquidity and interest rate conditions in the global market trends. And FII investment, as I already told you, it can be done in equity. It can also be done, in acquiring companies wholesale. Equity means they'll apply in shares. A lot of money these days. Why our stock exchange is going? Because a lot of money is available worldwide. They do not want to come and own the companies, but partly they go on investing in various shares of Indian companies. So this is also facilitated by FII. They can also do it. Same thing in debt market also within India, but there is a limit. Now, currently, the upper limit for investment in corporate debt is 51 billion. You cannot just buy India. There is a limit. And with a sublimit of 2 billion for subscribing to commercial papers. The current limit for the investment in government securities is also restricted. You cannot, buy a huge amount of government paper. It is restricted to 30 billion. Friends, now coming back to my last slide, I will only say what Robert Frost said. Woods are lovely, dark and deep, but we have promises to keep and miles to go before we sleep, because we as Indian bankers are carrying the weight of taking the Indian economy to 5 trillion and beyond. And for that, every one of us has to improve our working by more than 10% year on year. Then only we will be able to conceptualize in India, where banker will be a fulcrum to bring happiness. So friends, as this chart shows, that there are, various type of people available, opportunities available for a banker to make the world a better place to live in. 430 million are employed. You can finance their industries, you can give them education loans. Then there are 577 million people who are older than 64. They need good health. So finance medical institutes, hospitals. Then there are 800 million people working in industrial jobs. If you finance industry, go on reviewing, renewing their account, enhancing their limits, funding them through receivable finance, through letters of credit, through import export, you will bring good India. And as last statement, I will say that there are 1.4 billion workers in agriculture, which is really tottering. So friends, you will say you are an alone banker and how only one banker's effort can change the world. But then, friend, ekla chalo. Rabindranath Tagore got Nobel Prize. He says that everyone should do his work and make this world a paradise. Friends, tinka hua to kya hua? Wajood hai mera. Tinka. Tinka, smallest thing possible in world. Tinka hua तो क्या हुआ, वजूद है मेरा, उड़ उड़ कर हवा का रुख तो बताता हूँ. तो friends, thank you very much for joining me for this class. Over to our CEO sir, kindly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Hargovind Sachdev ji, thank you so much. And this entire FDI, FII, entire gamut of all these things, I am confident that no participants will not get anywhere else. In this abridged form, within a period of 1 hour only, you have explained everything. So I request my participants to kindly go through the recording once again, because this is a very important session. Just view it again and again and read the write-up also on this. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I think
yeah,
it's very difficult to bring such a huge subject, and a subject which has got so much of ramification, in such a small capsule, and that too with the right kind of examples, and never making it a dull moment. I think Mr. Hargovind Sachdev ji has really made it one of a kind. And thank you, Mr. Sachdev. And it shows that you have so much knowledge, that your breadth of knowledge is so huge that you can just say it. I think you can, even in your sleep, you can just rattle it off. But you made it look so simple. I know it's not a simple thing, but you made it sound so simple. And as Gulati ji said, the questions are pretty simple, but I think for beginners, you have just given us a kind of those teaser things that you have, those teaser rates. So these are the teaser questions. The real questions will come in your later sessions. All I can say is it's been a wonderful session. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Hemlata ji. Thanks a lot. Yeah, Ajit Kumar Gaurav, can you unmute and say something?
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good
Sir,
evening.
session is very nice, sir. As Himlata madam told, sir has taken such a nice session and explained all terms, and it's really, sir, nice experience all of young bankers.
Thank you, Ajit. Yeah, Ajit Kumar Gaurav, sir, working with Bank of Baroda in UAE. So he's joining from UAE right now. Yeah, Asha Rajiv.
Yes, I wanted to especially say a special thanks to Hargovind sir. It was a wonderful session, sir. You have wealthier with our knowledge banks growing bigger in size. There were so many concepts which were not very clear to us. You have made it so simple and clear and put it so clearly before us that we don't have to look elsewhere for clarifications. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you, Gulati ji, for organizing it so well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, any other participant want to say anything?
On behalf of bankers, because I have lived as a banker for almost 4 decades. So on behalf of bankers, I will say that all of you must have a feeling which is captured in following Hindi words. The शायर says, खुद से जीतने की जिद है मुझे, खुद से जीतने की जिद है मुझे खुद को ही हराना है, मैं भीड़ नहीं हूँ दुनिया की, मेरे अंदर एक जमाना है. और वो जमाना ही है जिसको आपने दुनिया में प्रकट करना है. वो जमाना जितना देदीप्यमान होगा, जितना रोशनी युक्त होगा वो जमाना उतना सुंदर बनेगा और उसमें सबका लाभ होगा, हमारा भी और हमसे जुड़े हुए ग्राहकों का भी। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, friends. Thank you, and thank you, Hargovind Sachdev ji. I'm closing the session. Thank you very much.